we were talking about different squares, and these squares represent basically the idea of, let's duplicate this, of different traders, okay? And the problem is that when you get a different mindset and you get into a different perspective, your way of thinking is going to change. And what I mean by that is like when you start trading, and a lot of people fall under this category, people who have actually made it in the space, all of them start, the majority, I'm going to say like about 90% of the people who are, if you go to KOL scan, were here initially on square one, and now they're either in square two or square three, okay? So we go here, and we look at here, what exactly represents, what is the representation of this? This is primarily representing anybody that has 1 Solana to 10 Solana in their name, or below 1 Solana, okay? Then we have anybody in here, which is above 100 Solana, and then this is 1K, okay? So whenever you fall, whatever category you fall under, this is going to determine how you trade and how your life, when it comes to trading meme coins, happens. Now, a lot of people live under the impression that in order for you to get out of this thing, you need to be on your computer screen 24/7. And as you guys know, if you guys are inside Boltz Alpha, you guys know we're not in Discord 24/7, okay? We are literally there to trade in an optimal hour. We're there to trade the optimal coin, and we're there to make sure we get a 10x. Because if you get a 10x every single day, which I'm not saying it happens all the time, but if that were the case, and we were to say, you know, right now we're 24, right? 24. If you 10x 24 times and you put in 1 Solana, that's 240 Solana that you currently have right now in your possession. And let's say for some reason you did not sell at a 10x, but when it got to 10x, you left the moon bag, and it wasn't a 10x really. It was more like an 8x. You're still roughly at 200 Solana. Now, if you tell anybody you could literally make 200 Solana in one particular month, anybody would be thrilled by that. That's almost $20,000. Okay. And the problem is people don't really think that's possible, because if you go to CT, a lot of people that are in this category will tell you that this doesn't work. And I am living proof that not only does it work, but I constantly do it every single day. And I don't need to do this one. I can literally just sit on this one because I trade the way people trade here. And this is the reason why I always teach you guys, if you ever watch my how to build a port video, I tell you guys, you need to split your port in order for you to be able to trade here, and trade here. All right. Trade all three of them, because all three of them will be able to generate you money. So what does trading here look like? Trading here looks like what we do inside Boltz Alpha, right? What we do inside Boltz Alpha is we try to buy stuff before it migrates, and we try to sell it at 10x or make more. That's basically what we do. So anything below migration, which would theoretically be, roughly around, what would that be? Anything below like 10K, right? 10K market cap. And we're looking at 10x that. The different one here, so I'm going to put here 10K, okay? 10K, 10x. That's what we're looking for. Now, do they all 10x? Not all the time, but the majority of the time we end up hitting them. This other setup trade up right here is completely different, because this setup trade up, it's you're positioning to trade at a higher market cap with the expectancy not to 10x, but to minimally 5x or at least 3x. And this one's a different category, because you're looking to buy something like at least at 100K and at least minimum 3x. Okay. And you're going to notice something simple here once we start doing this one. Now, this one's a little bit more difficult, and I kind of was explaining to people, we kind of did this on the Wish. I kind of went over, inside the Boltz Alpha. I was like, guys, I'm going to put in 50 Sol here. I'm going to put in 50 Sol on the Wish one. And this one right here, you're just pretty much looking at 2x to 3x with a large sum of money. And this is just like a quick 2x flip. Basically what you're looking at, if anything's above 1 million, so I'm going to put right here 1 mil. What you're looking to do here is you're looking to 2x on this one with a big bag. Now, when I say a big bag, is anything above 20 Solana would be considered a big bag. Now, remember, on all of these, there is still a possibility you could probably end up losing at least 50, depending on what your stop loss is, 30%, 15%, 50, 30%, whatever you want to lose. There's still that possibility. But in my opinion, and the reason I am completely different than anybody else, I like to do a thing called de-risking. And what I mean by de-risking is I like to invest the minimum amount of money I can, but make the most amount of money I can. Okay, so let me explain that how that works. Let me change the color here. You guys can get an idea. And the way I do it is the following way. If I were to do 1 Solana here to 10x, that would equate to 10 Solana. Okay, so that would give me 10 here, and it keeps erasing. Okay, that would give me an equivalent of 10 Solana. Now, when I get to the 100k, for me to go to 100k and 3x that would only give me 3 Solana. So in reality, I wouldn't be okay with just putting 1 Solana. That means I would have to go in with a bigger chunk of Solana. So let's say in this case, I would put 3, and for me to 3x, that would give me 9 Solana. Now we go to the other side where I'm putting 20, I would just need to hit 40. Okay. Now let's look at the numbers real quick. Okay. Let's look at the numbers real quick. If you see the numbers, you're going to notice that at 10k, even though I'm putting 1 Solana, and yes, it's a little bit more of a high risk, high reward type of play, I'm still getting more Solana for the 10x than I am on a 3x that could still potentially do the same thing that square 1 could do. And if I go to the third square, which is the higher risk play where I'm putting 20 or higher more Solana, there's still a possibility at a 50% I could end up with 10 Solana only. Which one gives you the most risk? Like if you were to look at the 3 columns, which one gives you the most risk? Think about that. Let that process in your head and say, which one out of all these are the most riskier ones? Because if you already have 10 to 20 Solana, if you do the 1 bullet strategy, which is what I teach you guys every single time, we have a stream where we go over the bullet strategy, you're going to notice you literally, for the whatever amount Solana you have, if you split it into 1 Solana, that means you have a bullet for every almost coin that comes out. Okay. So even in a worst case scenario where you had 20 Solana and you were to say like enter 20 to 40 plays, in general speaking, you would only need a 2x twice. Does that make sense? If it doesn't make sense, I'm gonna explain it real quick. So let's say for sake of the video, we're gonna say you have 20 Solana. Okay, you have 20 Solana, and we're gonna grab 1 Solana per play, and we're gonna say out of this 20, you enter 20 plays. Okay, how many plays do you actually need out of the 20 to make your 20 back to 10x? You only need 2. Okay, so relatively speaking, you could literally lose 18 Solana. Out of those 18 Solana that you lost, in 2 plays you make it back. So that's what I'm trying to change the focus and trying to make people understand, that it's not how you're losing the Solana, it's the way you're I hate the word, gambling the Solana is. A lot of people would rather gamble in these because they feel they're a little bit safer. The casino's the casino, guys. There's always going to be a possibility you lose, but as long as you de-risk the most, that's where the value comes in. And that's where you make the most amount of money. Because just because this 10x doesn't mean it can't even go higher. Eventually, dude, there's been plays where we're like 30x, 17. Like if I look at this MS Paint one, this one's 17x. So it's like almost a 20x. Theoretically speaking, if let's say you don't sell at a 10x and you're like, I'm gonna hold this one, you're pretty much getting 20 Solana in one play. Some of them 30. Now, all of them don't do that. I always suggest if you're up 10x, sell 80 to 75 to 90, 60%. Get your money back, because you don't want to fall in that category where you're like, dude, I didn't sell. But you should always theoretically be doing that. So did that clear it up for you guys? Because that's kind of like the lesson I wanted to give you guys and kind of show you guys where this quote, let me actually delete this so you guys can see the quote, starts making a little bit more sense. You could literally see this. That's what we do inside Boltz Alpha, right? This is literally what we do. We try to de-risk as much as we possibly can. Now, granted, that's not saying every single coin's going to hit a 10x. I want to make sure I make that clear, but the majority of them do. And today, up to date from right now, from April, from the start of April all the way to the end of April, we're at 24. We're 24. I would have to go and take a look at how many calls we made. I know we didn't make more than 60 calls. I know it's probably like 50 or 40. So that's actually pretty solid. If you kind of see if you balance it out, and that's a count saying that the other coins did in 2x. So that's the main thing that you want to do. So this is what I suggest. So there's 2, like if you're in this box, if you're in this box, I always tell people, listen, your number 1 priority is to try to get a 10 Solana as quickly as you possibly can and as safe as you possibly can. Okay. So my suggestion is you 2x, take out your initials, let the rest ride, or you could take out more than your initials. You could take out 60%, let 40% ride, because that means you're constantly making money. but you're de-risking as much as you possibly can, and you're still leaving a moonbag. The problem is people don't like to leave moonbags. And usually coins will do what this does. Like if I go and look at this one, you'll see like it spikes up, it comes down, and then your moonbag looks like, dude, it's not going anywhere. And then you get the spike, and then, you know, you kind of look at your moonbag, you're like, okay, that's actually doing stuff, right? So I always say people, you know, leave a moonbag, because the moonbag's going to help you get that progression to 10 Solana the quicker you possibly can. Once you're at 10 Solana, you then, instead of dividing yourself into place of 1 Solana every time trying to 10x, you actually split it into 0.5, right? That means you have 20 bullets. You split it into 0.5. You 0.5 every play. You 10x one, that's 5 Solana. All right, you 10x another one, that's another 5 Solana. You're back to 10. You only need to hit 2. And once you have the 10, you allocate that, you put that on the side, and you play with the remaining Solana. So that's how you would do about it. I could make a more extensive video on the channel, but I kind of wanted to cover this in particular because, you know, I didn't want to leave the lesson unlearned. But basically, this is the lesson, and this is why this quote is super important, is winning starts where fear of losing ends. Because once you stop fearing, you're not going to trip when the chart starts coming down. You're not going to get scared when the chart comes down.